Hi everybody, I'm Siegfried Trent, game designer, co-creator of Everyday Heroes, and game addict for Sig Trent Games. Today I'm going to give you a lowdown on what's going on with Sig Trent Games here in week 40, give you a little bit of game design advice, kind of sort of this week, and talk about my life and gaming in general. There'll be a fair bit of that. Let's talk about what's going on with Sig Trent Games. So week 40, not a whole lot to report on. Shotgun Fantasy is currently in editing. I have a report that editing is about half done. It's only been a week, so awesome. Coming along very quickly then, and expected to be done, I guess, pretty soon. I think we talked about a 3-week timeline, so another couple of weeks, and we should have the final manuscript ready to go. That'll be exciting. In the meantime, I have found some very good stock art. I think it'll work well for the book. I just need to figure out exactly what pieces I need so that I don't overspend. Although it's always good with stock art, especially some of the licenses I've learned. You can only use them on one book, which is fine. Those are a lot cheaper. And some that you can use on multiple books. So I need to think a little bit about pieces of art that I'll be able to use in future projects as well, and it'll just be good stock art to have available to me for whatever books we make, and which ones maybe just special for this single occasion, and that kind of thing. So I need to make sure I keep those separate so that we keep everything nice and tidy with the licenses. But thanks to a really great blog article, I found some excellent pieces, and I'm pretty excited about that. So everything is coming along nicely on Shotgun Fantasy. Everyday Pirates is kind of the focus this week. Take a little break from Secret Project while I wait to hear back some feedback, which I haven't got yet, but we'll get there. And so I'm going to crank away on Everyday Pirates and hopefully maybe at least get pretty close to finishing that up this week, but we shall see. I got to talk to the person who's working on the adventure, so that was nice, and just have a little bit of a powwow with the team putting it together with Goober and Brian. All right, not too much else to report on Sig Trent Games this week because I've been playing a little bit more games than maybe I normally would. I talked about No Man's Sky being very addictive last week. Well, yes, it is very addictive. I did play quite a bit. I did some really hard weeks of writing, so I guess I was kind of in line for a break, but I gotta kind of switch gears back again and just put No Man's Sky on the back burner. But while I'm playing games, I'm always trying to learn about game design and think about my own projects and how the games that I'm playing, what I can take from them and learn from them to try and get a little extra value out of everything I'm doing. Of course, I still just straight up have fun and enjoy myself, right? But I want to talk a little bit about some of the things I think about when I'm playing another person's game or just when I'm playing games in general that I can bring into game design, because I'm always kind of in the background analyzing things, thinking about the components of it, and the following items that I generally consider. The first one is I mercilessly take game mechanics from other games that I think are really cool and use them in my own work, wherever that happens to be appropriate. I think, generally speaking, at least under the law, let's start with that. Under the law, it is not copyright infringement to take somebody else's game mechanics and game ideas and incorporate them into your games. I think that's a good thing because generally it makes the creative landscape a lot more interesting and fun for everybody. It really benefits gamers when the very best ideas can be used freely in other games to create new and interesting games put together. The creative aspect of it, the art, the storytelling, and how you use those mechanics to express overall play, I think is the art of gaming, and the game mechanics are like the individual elements that you have in order to put things together. So I really like that it's a fairly open and sharing community when it comes to that. There have been times when people try to fight over game mechanics and to try and hoard them and keep them exclusive for monetary gain, but I don't think that's good for gamers. I don't think it's good for the game design as an art form, as a pursuit. So I am happy to take other ideas that people have that are better than my ideas, and I'm always trying to share my ideas with other people so that they can use them. I'm like, please take my game mechanics, use them, right? And I rarely think the things that I come up with, even when it wasn't directly inspired by somebody else, are going to be entirely unique. There will be unique elements in them, probably. And I want to share all that. So, yeah, mercilessly steal game mechanical ideas. So always when you hit upon something and you're like, this is genius, file that away so that you can use it later. 2, ask yourself, who's the audience for this game? One of the things about making games, now you can make a game purely for the love of this is the game that I want to make, and therefore the audience is people that like games that you like, right? So people like you, or people that have the same taste in games as you, is the audience, and that's perfectly fine, right? But I do like to make games for people who are maybe a little bit different than me, so trying to understand who a game is marketed to, what kind of player is going to be most interested and attracted to this game. And then when you make a game, understanding who that audience is will help you find them and connect them and get the game in their hands so they can join and play it, right? So it's just always good to be in that mindset of it's kind of like, who is this game for? And sometimes the answer will be, it's not for you, and so you won't play that game so much. So you're mostly going to play games that are for people like you. But in a way, inside each of us is many people, many types of expressions. And so you may share interests with people who are very different than you, but you like that same thing in common. So you think about you or who a game is marketed to, almost compartmentalized. It's like a piece of a person. Which people have a piece of this and are going to be interested in playing it. So it's good to think about that. And when you are marketing a game, you're going to try and connect. What do people who like this kind of play, like this kind of marketing? Otherwise, you get really deceptive marketing in a way, and people are going to be very angry and disappointed when they get the game, and it's not at all what they thought it was. So there's that. All right, number 3. What is it that got you excited about the game? Think about like what got you interested in it. Why did you pick it up and play it? And that's going to have really important insights yourself when you're making a game to kind of go, well, what is it that my game has that's going to make people pick up and play it? What is it about it that I can communicate that's going to be really exciting? And so whenever you're talking about your game, you always kind of have to have in your mind a little catalog of bullet points of what makes my game special, what is it that I want people to resonate with, what is it that I think they can get excited. And when you're playing somebody else's game, you should also be thinking about that. Why did I choose it? Because that, whatever that was, it's going to be useful in communicating to someone like you that this is a game that they would like. If that makes sense. All right. Next up, what keeps you playing? So No Man's Sky got its death grip on me almost. Like I was thinking about it going to bed, and I was thinking about it at work, and I'm thinking about it all the time. And it has a number of wonderful cycles. I would describe it as kind of like a playground of little dopamine rewards. It's very much an exploration game, but it's also a crafting game wherein you go out, you explore, you find materials, you build things, but you also find a lot of random things. Like, so one of the things that really compelled me was finding cool spaceships. So you fly around on a spaceship all the time. Of course, you want your spaceship to be really cool. They have sort of a random spaceship generator system, and there are different classes of ships, and they each have different kinds of parts that get mixed and matched in very clever ways. And so you can kind of infinitely be looking for a ship with the stats that you want. They also have random stats. The ship with the type of classification that you want, the type of ship that has the look within that class and that classification and with those stats. So there are many layers to mixing and matching such that you probably will never find the perfect ship, the perfect items in this game. But you will always be have an opportunity to get something a little closer if you just kind of go back into the system, hang around a few more starports waiting for ships that show up that you might be able to buy, going out on alien planets and looking for clues to try and find alien ships that you might be able to salvage and bring into your fleet, so on and so forth. And it doesn't just do this in one type of spaceship, but there are many types of spaceships, many types of vehicles, all types of different things that you can get into that loop on. And enjoy that sense of kind of, oh, look at the gem that I found, that seek, hunter, gatherer kind of primal instinct. Really powerful game that way. It's not like gambling because there's not a lot of risk in this game. You're not investing other than your time. You're just going out and you're exploring, you're wandering around, cool scenery, and then you might find really valuable things that light up those kind of parts of the brain, right? So really effective gameplay that way. I just really enjoy that element of it. So to me, that's how it keeps me playing. Think about what keeps you playing, because you can definitely make a game that people are going to play twice and go, hey, well, that's fun, and that's it, and they'll never play it again, and that's great. But it's a real pleasure if you can make a game that kind of resonates with people over the ages, becomes like a classic, something like Settlers of Catan, a game that people can just really sink their teeth into and love for a long time, and always be, oh yeah, play a game of that? Sure, I'd love to. That'd be great. So if you could do that, you can make a wonderful game. And it's a real testament to No Man's Sky that 9 years later, it's more popular than it was when it was released. So it's a game that really satisfies people over time. What does it do to disappoint you? So that's always important to ask. You should always be looking at the positives and negatives. So if you experience a really bad feeling in a game, and you're like, oh man, I hate this. Why is it like this? And this happens the most when you really love a game, right? You're like, I love it. And then it's like a chocolate cake, and then there's an onion in it, right? And you're like, this is horrible. I don't ever want to see that onion again. I don't like onions, so If you love onions, whatever. Uh, but pay attention to that, right? It's a mistake that they made, most likely. Now, maybe you just have a really weird taste or something, but generally speaking, it's something that they didn't pay close enough attention to, or didn't have time to fix, or maybe in a technical difficulty, whatever it happens to be. But think about what it is, and then try to avoid that when you're making a game, right? Try to be able to spot those things that you're not really thinking about because you're working in a workmanlike way, putting something together, but always be thinking about what you're doing and whether it could have a strong disappointment for somebody, which is a little different than maybe they just don't like it. That's okay, but they otherwise love the game, and then there's this sour patch that throws them off. So try to avoid that. I'm not sure if I can think of one for No Man's Sky at the moment. It was all pretty fun. I guess the story in No Man's Sky isn't super compelling, but it's not a sour patch. It's just like, does it totally resonate with me? No. It was a fun mystery, but as the mystery gets revealed, you're like, okay. It didn't totally take me in or keep me thinking about it or other possibilities. So to me, it's a little bit of a miss, but I wouldn't quite call it a disappointment because I did enjoy pursuing kind of the story track and figuring out what the paradigm of the world is. So then just ask, this is more falling into this next card, what would you do to make it better? So I got my start making games by making modifications to existing games. I think the first game I ever did a mod for, we're talking about a pen and paper kind of mod, was for a game called Death Maze, I think, and I got it at a garage sale along with some Dragon magazines that had an expansion for it. And so I was like, well, this is pretty cool, and you can make an expansion. And so I made an expansion for Death Maze with some D&D monsters and other D&D elements because I was playing Dungeons & Dragons at the time. And so that was kind of like my first official modification to a game, and it's how you get started. So when you're playing another game and you think it's really cool, definitely think about the ways that you would change it or what you would add to it to make it even better than it was. And there's a few different kinds of things depending on the kind of game, but now I also played Champions, aka the Hero System, which is a role-playing game about superheroes. And boy, are there a lot of things that I would probably change. Some of them would change the whole nature of the game, so it wouldn't be a good modification to the game. It's just, it would suit more my taste. But I think there were definitely ways, like especially as I was reading the rule book, I'm like, I would present this a little differently. I would make it more approachable for newer players and have a better way to guide them through. Now, maybe that was not the intent of the rule book. Their audience probably was existing fans of the game that have loved the game for many years and want a giant compendium of all the content of the game. They don't need things explained to them, right? But my instinct as a game maker is to say, well, no, it's really good to introduce new people to your game. You want a growing community. And in order to do that, you don't necessarily have to change the game, but you do need to provide some on-ramps, like some accessibility for this thing. And that would really help people. It would help me, for instance. Now, even though I played it a long time ago, I can't say we fully understood it back then either, right? So it'd have been nice to have more on-ramps and kind of a gentler learning curve to try and figure this game out. And I could tell, so much work was done to put in a Make Amazing game, and then not to have it be very accessible to people seems like kind of a shame to me. So that's an area where if it were mine, I would change it. Now, it isn't mine. I don't have the right to change it, right? So they can do what they want. But you're always playing the game, not to change their game, because that's not what you're going to do, but to change how you work as a game designer and to try not to make the same, maybe mistakes or the same choices, let's say, that they did. Okay, so those are good things to think about when you're playing somebody else's game and having a good time, hopefully. Don't play games that you don't enjoy. I don't generally recommend that unless, it can be a good learning experience, but I think you can learn more from playing good games, fun ones. All right. Let's talk about what I have been playing. You already know No Man's Sky quite a bit. Now, they have these things called expeditions, and I did my first expedition. It was recommended to me through my dear wife to make a new character to do the expedition. I came to the quick realization, although I do know the game system, so that helped me, it is much easier to start in No Man's Sky if you start a character in an expedition. The expeditions have a lot of quest goals for you, and they have pretty significant rewards for those quest goals. There are quests in the mainline story, but they are much presented in a more subtle way. You are less likely to want to follow up on them, and they seem less important to what's going on in the story. But in the expedition, it's the total focus of the play, and so it really pushes that on you, and you're going to get like a lot more rewards and kind of they don't have levels, so it's not really leveling up, but you will get more money in which to buy ships and to kind of engage in the creative side of the game. So I definitely recommend, if you're going to start No Man's Sky, maybe start in an expedition, unless you want to really just kind of lazily wander around, and then maybe start in a regular game. But I think you're going to enjoy it more if you start an expedition. They're really fun. Just know that when you get out and when you finish the expedition, when you're not doing expeditions, there's less hand-holding and less directed quests. There are quests and there is some hand-holding, but it is less intense and directive. And also, you'll just often get really cool stuff to start the game with, and so you'll feel like, ooh, I've got something special that's really neat, and that's just a great way to get you started and get playing. So I do recommend it. It's a lot of fun. Be careful, though. It can eat up your time quite quickly. All right. Next up, continued our Traveler game, role-playing game. That was a lot of fun. Game Master said, I'm really getting a handle on this kind of a game where the players are really driving the story more than I'm driving the story. And that's very true in Traveler. And I think it's also generally true in space games, because you have such incredible freedom. I can go to a different planet, right? And how can the game master plan everything that's going to happen on a planet, or where you're going to land on the planet? Or it's very difficult to do. So you kind of have to follow the player's lead, have some ideas, and if you really want the players to do a particular thing, put the lure out and try to pull them in with the lures. And they may not take all of them, right? You don't know. So you plan a bunch of lures, and you kind of have to ride the wave, I think, when you're running Traveler. But I really like it. I'm having a good time with it. I can't say that the game system is amazing. It's pretty good, though. I mean, it's solid. I got no real complaints about it. It is rather deadly, so if you like a game where, the wrong laser weapon hitting you at the wrong time could be the end, Traveler is definitely that. My character is particularly fragile, so you breathe on him hard, he falls over. I think I've basically got the equivalent of like 5 hit points. Very easy to take 5 points of damage in Traveler. So now he doesn't die at that point. He gets knocked out, and then if he takes like another 7 or something, he's getting close to being killed. So I think that's wounded, and then a bit more. I think I have a little bit more backing it up after that, and like another 11 points or something, and then you're toast, and there's no coming back. So yeah, I got beat up by the cops. But the nice thing is, in a space society, being arrested by the police, unless they're really corrupt or something, isn't a death sentence. So you can get out of jail. My character's rich, so he just sort of buy his way out or talk his way out because he's influential and he has a lot of important friends. So he's definitely a bard-like character, right? Anyway, I'm having a lot of fun with the Traveler game. It's really cool. So thank you, Brian. It's been great. Also, as I mentioned, I played Hero System and Traveler Champions. Champions is the superhero setting for the Hero System game. And we're playing 5th edition. The current version is 6th edition. Making your character is, I think I talked about it, it's amazingly complicated. But we got together for the first time and tried out these characters, and also worked on our characters, tried to tune them up a little bit. I think my character might be a little overtuned, maybe a little too strong, but not really. He's not offensive oriented, so it doesn't kind of come across that way. More of a problem-solving superhero character. But it was funny because my character is a little bit history themed. He can time travel, so he's really a history buff. And the other 2 characters, unbeknownst to me, are going to be a Grecian god themed character. Not Greek, his enemies are the Greek. I think he's Spartan, or I forget, Athenian, something like that. Anyway, a character themed on that period of history, Hellenistic history. And then another character themed on Egyptian history. And it just so happened that the 2 ancient languages that I decided my character could speak were Greek and Egyptian. So I just thought that was super cool, kind of a neat synchronicity there between us. And so I think we're going to be a good superhero team, the History Friends, something like that. I don't know. We didn't pick a name yet, but that's what I'm going with so far. And it was pretty cool. Everyone seemed to like my character. He's like a clone from the future who's part of this time cop program that police the past. But they use human engrams from the past from a big database, and they used a 21st century history professor for this guy. And he decided that that's where he really belongs. He realized that he's kind of been snowed, and he really belongs in the 21st century, where he was sort of stolen from, essentially. And so that's his present where he lives, and he thinks that Time Cop are kind of evil future warlords trying to manipulate the past that they have no right to do. And he won't change the past, even though he can travel into it. He just wants to observe history and learn the truth of what really happens without the time cops meddling and that kind of thing. So, kind of a neat character. I thought it was pretty fun to play. He has like a freeze ray kind of thing where I can stop time, and a time force field where bullets slow down as they get towards me and then just fall to the ground kind of thing. So, lots of time themed powers. All kind of came together very nicely. I'm very happy with it. At any rate, it's a neat system, but you really you have to be willing to totally dive in, read a lot of rules, crunch a lot of numbers to try and figure out characters. And I think it would be just more fun if there was a nice on ramp. The game does provide some. I'm not going to say it doesn't, because it has some sort of packages that you can put together. And you could play pre-generated characters, which is definitely what I would recommend to get into the hero system. Pick up some pre-generated characters, play those first, get a feel for how the system mechanics work, and then ask yourself, how could I make another character kind of like this but different? There's going to be things that you're going to want to carry over that you're like, oh, well, I like the fact that he has a high dexterity. That was good. And some different things that you know you're going to want, so that when you make your character, you're making informed decisions, because the rulebook does not really help you make a good character. It just says you can do anything you want. And it might be functional and it might not be functional, right? Something I tried to avoid in Everyday Heroes. But again, game design choice, you make your choices, you decide what you want to do. But it's been fascinating building a character in that game. I want to say playing the game, but is that playing a role-playing game, making a character? I don't know. Maybe it is. In Traveler, it kind of can be. So maybe I love making characters. I really do. I really do. So that's fun for me. But I'm looking forward to playing. We played a little mini session, just a one fight kind of scenario to introduce our characters and to get familiar with the game mechanics and how those work, and then maybe to make some tweaks. The game master's like, yeah, I think you guys are a little strong. Maybe we're going to lower the maximum you can spend on any one power or any one statistic, just so that the characters are a little toned down a bit. Because we were doing maybe a bit much damage. It felt like the fight was going really fast. So anyway, pretty fun. Had a good time gaming this week. Nomad Ann has played some more Phasmophobia. We got a new map out that we're going to play tonight. That should be fun. And also playing a lot of No Man's Sky and some other liminal space games that I forgot to inquire before I wrote my script. But you can check out Nomad Ann on Twitch and say hi and support her channel. She got offered affiliate, but she's going to hold off because she doesn't really want to make money with it. And so not putting commercials in front of people when they're trying to watch a fun game seems like a good call. But the nice thing on Twitch is you can just kind of keep your affiliate offer in your back pocket, and if you ever decide to try and monetize and you really want to go for it, you can go ahead and do that. I think I actually made a mistake with my channel and monetized it right away, but I was really, at the time that I did that, trying to pursue a career, or trying to try out a career of being a Twitch broadcaster or game player, and then I got leukemia, so it kind of didn't work out. But now when I just go play for fun, I know people kind of have to watch commercials, and that's too bad, because they don't need to do that. All right. Life in general. Well, the gift shop was busier this week. There was an extra school day off, and that means more families come out to the beach. The weather was pretty good, so we had a fair number of people. Kept me busier than I normally am. I wouldn't call it busy. So it just made it a little harder to do some special projects. The owner of the store, the manager, brought in a bunch of game controller and game console stuff that I washed up, made it look all shiny, and then tested it all out. Even the fact we have these two TVs that I was going to test with, and both the TVs are kind of busted in different ways. So the game consoles were great, but the TV monitors that I was trying to test with were complete junk. So that was interesting. I don't know. It was an okay, kind of like not boring week, which is nice, but also not super busy. So relaxing but not boring. Can't really ask for better than that at the gift shop. Lots of tasty food for my wife this week. It's been cooking all kinds of great stuff. Been playing around with some soups this week, so I've been eating well, and eating well is good. Well, I mentioned before, of course, last time I was talking about the government shutdown and food stamp, SNAP program and stuff. I ended up getting SNAP benefits for this month. They were late, which is no problem, so I got them anyway, so that's nice. Went to the discount market, and we got some nice some snacks and some good food for the week, so that's cool. I love that store. Such good bargains. But nobody who doesn't live in Ocean Shores cares about that, so I'll move on. I need to crack down on writing, so that's what I'm going to do this week. As soon as we're done here, I'm going back over to Everyday Pirates. I'm going to shovel as much dirt on top of that treasure chest as I can this week. So today and tomorrow, my big opportunities to get a lot of writing done. We're going to do that, and then we're going to keep going through the rest of the week with only a very controlled small portion of No Man's Sky this week, I promise. All right. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. You find something really passionate that gets you excited and gets you off track because it's so much fun. And then you can get back to work. All right, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.